For nearly 3 years, Simon Tadros has been waiting for answers. What caused the Seaworld helicopter crash that claimed the life of his wife Vanessa and 3 others? Day 1 of the inquest, he was confronted with video footage, seeing the crash and the final moments for the first time through the eyes of those on board. We've chosen not to show the moment of impact. It was too much. While Simon lost his wife in that collision, his son Nicky survived. He was just 10 at the time and suffered terrible injuries. Since then, Nicky showed us just how much of a fighter he is, stealing our hearts. Simon is in Brisbane for the inquest. Simon, a tough day. It's your first time back in Queensland since the crash. Was it tougher than you expected?
It was a lot tougher than what I expected, Ali. Definitely very mentally and emotionally draining. It was a very hard day.
Take me through that a little bit if you can, because I think it was hard for all of us seeing the new vision of the crash, the moment those helicopters collide just 25 seconds after takeoff. But can you explain what that was like for you?
Overwhelming, to say the least. It was the first time I actually saw that footage, just to see how those 2 helicopters collided and the way my wife's helicopter plummeted to the ground. It was heartbreaking. It's something that I'll never be able to unsee. It'll always be stuck with me now, so it's something that I'm going to have to live with.
You know what, Simon, I can see it in your eyes, how tough today was.
It was extremely tough. It was. 3 years in the making. We were waiting for this day. We know this day was going to come sooner or later, but yeah, it was a lot more than what I anticipated.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure you can ever quite prepare yourself for something like that. And you know what my first thought was? I hope Nicky never sees this. Has he?
He has. It was a last-minute decision from me not to bring Nicholas to Brisbane, especially just for the first week, knowing what could possibly be. I wasn't aware that the media was going to throw it all out there so quick and so fast, but he has seen it. He was pretty distraught and very upset, but he has composed himself, and you know, that's the kind of person Nicholas is. He's strong, he's positive, and he realises that what's done is done and he needs to move forwards.
You know, I mean, we all know how tough he is, Simon. I've never met someone who is tougher than him, and I know you don't keep things from him, but still, that is a lot for a 13-year-old boy to process.
It definitely is, and once again, that was half the reason why I didn't bring him with me to Brisbane. His mental state of mind is my #1 priority, and just knowing what was going to come out of today, I knew will be pretty traumatising. So for him to see it, you know, online and on the news and everything, it was a lot for him to process. But you know what, as I said, Nicholas is strong. He's been through a lot worse, you know, so full credit to him for being able to compose himself again the way he did with me.
Yeah, I know you had a chat to him then afterwards and sort of, you know, calmed him down a bit. And this is the first time you and Nicky have really been apart since the crash. I know he wants to be up there. Do you think part of that is just to, you know, look after his dad too?
Most definitely. He's very hard for me. So he did tell me that he wants to be here with me, not only to hear what's going on in the inquest, but just to be able to be next to me. I love him for it, you know, but as I explained to Nicholas, that the first few days will be too much. So he's going to come up. He's going to come up for the 2nd week. I'm hoping by that time all the most of the traumatising things will be said and done.
Yeah, I know that some of the vision that we saw for the first time today was actually from Vanessa's phone, and you can hear her reassuring Nicky that it'll be okay. That was your wife, Simon, that being the amazing, caring mum right until the end.
That was her. You know, no matter the circumstances, no matter the situation, she was always loving, she was always caring, she always wanted to make sure that everybody was safe, and Nicholas was always happy and safe. So, you know, this just shows everybody the kind of person she was and the kind of heart that she had.
Yeah. And you know what? I think Vanessa would be so proud of how you've managed to just deal with everything on your own, you and Nikki, for nearly 3 years. But we heard today the coronial inquest, that it is about what caused the crash, not laying blame. As we know, Vanessa was one of 4 people who were killed, 9 others were injured. Simon, what questions do you want answered?
The main question I want answered is, how can an accident like this happen? You had 2 very experienced pilots. For an accident like this to happen, 2 helicopters crashing into each other, it doesn't happen. So I really just want to know how it happened and why it happened.
Yeah. What outcome are you looking for?
The outcome I'm looking for is just basically accountability. All the parties involved in making this accident happen, I want them to be held accountable for it. I want to see some major changes in the laws and regulations around scenic helicopter flights, and also just closure, not only for myself, but closure just for all the families that are affected by it, because none of us have had answers. So I'm hoping that this inquest will actually start giving us some closure so we can just try and move forwards.
Yeah. Well, look, nothing will ever make this right, Simon, but I hope some closure does come from this for you, for Nikki, for the other survivors, families of the victims. Look after yourself. We'll be checking in on you most days, all right? And thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you for having me on.
That was, I know, a tough one for him to get through, and he did incredibly well, but did want to talk about the fact that finally there is an inquest into this nearly 3 years after the crash.